Hey cinephiles. The 2022 Oscars, aka the 94th Academy Awards, are nearly here. But before they are, I want to set my final predictions in stone in the form of this video. But that's not all, no siree, I'm going to run through all 23 categories and not only answer who will win, but who should win, and more importantly, who should be nominated. But here's the catch. For each nomination I propose, I have to take one nomination away, adhering to the 5 nomination limit for every category, except for Best Picture, of course, where there can be 10. Once again, I will be marking my predictions with a tantalizing Oscar statuette and stamping my personal picks with an icon from what I felt was the single most snubbed film this year, The Green Knight himself. This should be an enjoyable, if mildly excruciating activity. Remember, dear viewer, these are merely my own opinions. As always, I invite you to share your own in the comments below, where we can all discuss and debate like the civilized cinephiles we are. Alright, let the games begin with Actress in a Supporting Role. The nominees are Jessie Buckley, The Lost Daughter, Ariana DeBose, West Side Story, Dame Judi Dench, Belfast, Kirsten Dunst, The Power of the Dog, Anjanou Ellis, King Richard. Now, the acting categories are often the most predictable of all the categories, simply based on who has been winning at other major award shows, and that's certainly the case this year. Will win Ariana DeBose. I predicted this back when the nominations were first announced, and she went on to win both the BAFTA and the SAG for this role. I'd say she's a pretty safe bet, but Anjanou Ellis does have a lot of support as well. I actually think DeBose should win. I watched West Side Story for a second time, and she's certainly a standout. As for who should be nominated, I'm actually going to replace everyone here save for DeBose. I would nominate Ann Dowd from Mass, one of the best films of 2021 that was unceremoniously snubbed by the Academy and underseen in general. That film should have received several nominations, including in both of the supporting acting categories, so I'll be talking about it again in a bit. Speaking of completely snubbed films, Jane Houdyshell in The Humans. She reprised her role from the Broadway play for the film adaptation, and it was the right choice. Incredible performance. If you've seen The Tragedy of Macbeth, you've seen the insane physical and vocal feats of Kathryn Hunter. That should have been a shoo-in here. And in another film that received 0 Oscar nominations, Ruth Negga in Passing, who gives a complex but captivating performance, the best I've seen from her yet. Next up, costume design. Cruella, Cyrano, Dune, Nightmare Alley, West Side Story. My thoughts here remain the same from my nominations coverage. Will win, Cruella, should win, Dune. I'm going to replace Cyrano and West Side Story with The French Dispatch and The Last Duel, 2 films that were completely snubbed, both of which I will be showing more love to. Next up, sound. Belfast, Dune, No Time to Die, The Power of the Dog, West Side Story. Will win, Dune. Should win, Dune. Should be nominated? I would take out Belfast, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story to nominate The Green Knight, The Humans, and Titan. If you've seen those, or heard those films rather, I think you'll know why. From sound to original score. Don't Look Up, Nicholas Britell. Dune, Hans Zimmer. Encanto, Jermaine Franco. Parallel Mothers, Alberto Iglesias. The Power of the Dog, Johnny Greenwood. Will win, Dune. Should win, Dune. Should be nominated? These are all great scores, yes, even Don't Look Up, but there are 4 I think are even better. I'm replacing everything but Dune with Alexander Desplat's score for The French Dispatch, Daniel Hart's score for The Green Knight, Johnny Greenwood's other score last year for Spencer, and Carter Burwell's score for The Tragedy of Macbeth. Next up, adapted screenplay. Coda, screenplay by Sean Hayter. Drive My Car, screenplay by Ryusuke Hamaguchi and Takamasa Oe. Dune, screenplay by Eric Roth, John Spates, and Denis Villeneuve. The Lost Daughter, written by Maggie Gyllenhaal. The Power of the Dog, written by Jane Campion. Will win, Coda. As you may or may not know, Coda is a remake of the 2014 French film La Famille Belair, and it has already won the BAFTA and the WGA award for adapted screenplay, so I'm thinking the Academy will follow suit. Should win, Drive My Car. Hamaguchi adapted the Haruki Murakami short story of the same name into a quiet but emotional epic. Should be nominated? Alright, Drive My Car is definitely staying, and while I like the other nominees, I don't think their screenplays are among their finest aspects, so I'm going to replace them with what I thought were 4 significant works of adaptation. The Humans, a stunning debut from writer-director Stephen Karam, adapting his own Tony Award-winning Broadway play. Between this and Florian Zeller's The Father, it's pretty remarkable how we've gotten two playwrights successfully bringing their own works into the cinematic medium in back-to-back years. The Green Knight, writer-director David Lowery adapted a 14th century poem into a meditative medieval fantasy. The Last Duel. This adapts Eric Jager's book of the same name. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wisely enlisted Nicole Holofcener for a nuanced story seen from three unique perspectives. And Passing. This is another writer-director debut. Rebecca Hall adapting Nella Larsen's acclaimed 1929 novel into a film that is equally thought-provoking. Now, original screenplay. Belfast, written by Kenneth Branagh. Don't Look Up, screenplay by Adam McKay. King Richard, written by Zach Balin. Licorice Pizza, written by Paul Thomas Anderson. The Worst Person in the World, written by Eskil Vogt and Joachim Trier. Will win Licorice Pizza. Paul Thomas Anderson is long overdue for an Oscar, and while it may feel strange to see him win for what I consider to be one of his weaker films, that's often how the Academy operates. That said, while he won the BAFTA, he lost the WGA to Don't Look Up, so don't count that bloated, simplistic, and unfunny script out. Should win The Worst Person in the World. This remains one of the most surprising nominations, and it's definitely my favorite here. Should be nominated, I would replace everything here but Worst Person in the World. I would add No Sudden Move, a really clever and rollicking screenplay from Ed Solomon. This film didn't receive any recognition from the Academy, but I at least wanted to give it a nod here. Mass. This film has the dramatic weight of 10 films, an emotionally charged script from first-time writer-director Frank Kranz. Pig. This is another notable feature-length debut from writer-director Michael Sarnowski with some standout monologues. And Spencer, one of the films I'm genuinely surprised didn't get more attention this award season. Screenwriter Stephen Knight has a wild resume of hit or miss scripts, but I thought this one hit hard. Next up, animated short film, Affairs of the Art, Bestia, Box Ballet, Robin Robin, The Windshield Wiper. Very interesting lineup this year. For a category that is often family-friendly, everything here, save for Robin Robin and Box Ballet, is NSFW. Personally, I thought they were all pretty exceptional. This might be the single strongest category of the 2022 Oscars. Will win? I'm gonna go with Robin Robin. It's delightful, it's definitely the most accessible, and it's from Aardman Animations. In a field free of any Disney nominees, that should go a long way, though I do wonder if the 30-minute runtime might hurt its chances. Should win? This is a tough choice, but the one I found the most striking was The Windshield Wiper. Should be nominated? You know what? I'm not gonna change a thing. Which brings us to live-action short film, A la Kachu, Take and Run, The Dress, The Long Goodbye, On My Mind, Please Hold. Will win The Long Goodbye. This is written by and stars Riz Ahmed, which I think gives it the edge over the unknown competition. It also helps that it's the shortest of the nominees. Should win The Long Goodbye. Should be nominated? I really don't have any alternate suggestions here. Next up, actor in a supporting role, Karen Hines, Belfast, Troy Kotsur, Coda, Jesse Plemons, The Power of the Dog, J.K. Simmons, Being the Ricardos, Cody Smith-McPhee, The Power of the Dog. Will win? A month ago, I thought this was going to Cody Smith-McPhee, but now that Troy Kotsur has won BAFTA, SAG, and the Spirit Award, he's got this in the bag, and will become the first deaf male actor to win an Oscar. Should win? Cody Smith-McPhee. Should be nominated? I would replace Karen Hines, Jesse Plemons, and J.K. Simmons, the latter of which is still the strangest of all the acting nominations this year, for Reed Birney and Jason Isaacs in Mass, and Richard Jenkins in The Humans. Each gives an emotionally powerful performance. Next up, film editing. Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, The Power of the Dog, Tick Tick Boom. Will win? Dune. Should win? The Power of the Dog. Should be nominated? Obviously Don't Look Up needs to make like a tree and get the hell out of here, but I would actually replace the whole lot, adding The French Dispatch, a rich and intricate anthology that required significant artistry at every stage of production, including in the editing room. The Green Knight, From the opening coda to the ending montage, this is a bravura feat of filmmaking and film editing. The Humans. This film takes place almost entirely in a duplex apartment, but how the immense amount of coverage is either sharply cut or purposefully lingered upon never lets it miss a beat. Summer of Soul. For years, I've been arguing that documentaries should be recognized for film editing. This is the latest exhibit, and an excellent one at that. And Zola. I wanted to find a category to highlight this hilarious road trip movie, which has to be the most enjoyably edited film of the year. The fact that it clocks in under 90 minutes only adds to its appeal. Next up, makeup and hairstyling. Coming to America, Cruella, Dune, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, House of Gucci. Will win The Eyes of Tammy Faye. This film was practically made to win makeup and hairstyling. Should win Dune. Should be nominated. I would substitute Coming to America and House of Gucci for the body horror on display in Titan and the colorful cast of The Suicide Squad. Next up, animated feature film. Encanto, Flea, Luca, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, Raya and the Last Dragon. Will win Encanto. It's Disney, it's Lin-Manuel Miranda, it's safe, it's going to win. Should win The Mitchells vs. the Machines. Should be nominated, I would replace Encanto, Luca, and Raya and the Last Dragon with Belle, Crypto Zoo, and The Spine of Night. The Academy would have never nominated those last two, but hey, that's why it's fun to play this game. Which brings us to Original Song. Be Alive from King Richard. Dos Orejitas from Encanto, Down to Joy from Belfast, No Time to Die from No Time to Die, Somehow You Do from 4 Good Days. Will win No Time to Die, should win No Time to Die. Should be nominated. As I talked about in the nominations video, it's Disney's own fault that We Don't Talk About Bruno from Encanto wasn't nominated, as that's definitely the song they should have submitted from that film. I would also replace Down to Joy with the Sparks Brothers' So May We Start from Annette, a film that understandably did not get a single Oscar nomination. As a Leos Carax fan, Annette was one of my biggest disappointments of the year overall, but it certainly has its moments, including the meta opening when that song is played. This snub especially hurts because it would have been such a cool way to open the Oscar ceremony. Moving on, documentary short subject. Audible, Lead Me Home. The Queen of Basketball, 3 songs for Benazir, When We Were Bullies. Will win The Queen of Basketball, should win The Queen of Basketball. As with the other shorts categories this year, I don't have any substitutions. Which brings us to documentary feature. Ascension, Attica, Flea, Summer of Soul, Writing with Fire. Will win Summer of Soul. This is the most celebrated doc of the year and has been the frontrunner since its premiere at last year's Sundance, though it could be taken down by another Sundance premiere, Flea, which made history by also being nominated for animated feature and international film. Still, I think Summer of Soul will win and should win. Should be nominated, it's a pretty strong category this year, though I would replace Ascension and Attica with All Light Everywhere and The Rescue. Next up, visual effects. Dune, Free Guy, No Time to Die, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Spider-Man No Way Home. Will win Dune. Should win Dune. Should be nominated, I would replace Free Guy and No Way Home with The Green Knight and The Suicide Squad. Next up, cinematography. Dune, Greg Fraser, Nightmare Alley, Dan Lawson, The Power of the Dog, Ari Wegner, The Tragedy of Macbeth, Bruno Del Bonell, West Side Story, Janice Kaminsky. Will win Dune. Worth noting that it won the top prize at the American Society of Cinematographers Awards. I also think it should win. Second to the animated shorts, this might be the most stacked category. It's not easy replacing any of these, but for the sake of this exercise, I would replace Nightmare Alley and The Power of the Dog with The French Dispatch and The Green Knight. And then, production design. These are the same 5 nominees as cinematography. Will win Dune. Should win Dune. Should be nominated, the same struggle, but I would ultimately replace The Power of the Dog and West Side Story with The French Dispatch and The Green Knight. Which brings us to international feature film. Drive My Car, Japan, Flea, Denmark, The Hand of God, Italy, Lunana, A Yak in the Classroom, Bhutan, The Worst Person in the World, Norway. Will win Drive My Car. This is another safe bet. Drive My Car has been sweeping international categories and even winning Best Film in some circles. I think it's a brilliant film and I think it should win. I'll quickly point out this is the third and final nomination for Flea, which sadly I don't think will be winning anything. Should be nominated, I would replace Lunana with Titan, which was France's submission for the Oscars and easily one of the most original and stimulating films of the year. And now, actor in a leading role. Javier Bardem, being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch, The Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield, Tick Tick Boom, Will Smith, King Richard, Denzel Washington, The Tragedy of Macbeth. Will win Will Smith. He's already won the BAFTA and the SAG for his portrayal of Richard Williams, so I think he will finally win his Oscar. Should win Benedict Cumberbatch. Javier Bardem aside, these are respectable nominations, but that wouldn't stop me from switching out everyone but the batch for Nicolas Cage in Pig, one of the quietest performances he's ever given, and one of the best. Go figure. Hidetoshi Nishijima in Drive My Car. He spends more time on screen than probably any actor this year and never once falters. As with Cage, his is a mostly internalized performance. Those are often the most profound. Dev Patel in The Green Knight. His character spends the entire film trying to make something of himself, and it's a fascinating struggle with a revelatory conclusion. And my favorite performance of the year, Simon Rex in Red Rocket. He plays a despicable character who does despicable things, and yet you can't help but be won over by his undying charisma and charm. This is such a difficult role to navigate, and Rex somehow makes it look effortless. Next up, actress in a leading role. Jessica Chastain, The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Olivia Colman, The Lost Daughter. Penelope Cruz, Parallel Mothers. Nicole Kidman, Being the Ricardos. Kristen Stewart, Spencer. Will win Jessica Chastain. She won SAG, but she wasn't even nominated for the BAFTA. Actually, none of these women were nominated for the BAFTA, which I suppose speaks to the strength of the field this year. Coleman, Cruz, and Kidman already have Oscars at home, and Spencer simply wasn't loved enough, as Kristen Stewart is the only nomination for that film. So I think this is Chastain's best chance to finally win an Oscar of her own. Should win? Well, I for one loved Spencer and Stewart's remarkable performance at the center of it. Should be nominated? I would replace Chastain and Kidman for Jodie Comer in The Last Duel. She holds her own against Matt Damon and Adam Driver in that film and navigates the subtlety between different versions of very difficult scenes. And hell, I'm gonna go for it, Agathe Roselle in Titan. This is one of the most physical performances of the year, but she also manages to do so much with just her eyes. And now, directing. Belfast, Kenneth Branagh. Drive My Car, Ryusuke Hamaguchi. Licorice Pizza, Paul Thomas Anderson. The Power of the Dog, Jane Campion. West Side Story, Steven Spielberg. Will win Jane Campion. She won the BAFTA, she won the DGA, and it seems like she's winning almost everywhere else. In a field historically and still dominated by men, I think she'll become the third woman to win an Oscar for directing. And she should. Should be nominated? I would replace Kenneth Branagh, Paul Thomas Anderson, and Steven Spielberg in favor of, hey, let's keep the Titan train rolling. Julia Ducournau. With just her second feature, she's already proving to be one of the bravest, boldest filmmakers in the game. David Lowery for The Green Knight. You've probably noticed by now how much I would have nominated this film for. Well, Lowery is the visionary storyteller behind it all. And of course, Denis Villeneuve for Dune. This was probably the biggest Oscar snub this year, and I'll let Josh Brolin sound off.
Unbelievable, almost numbing, flummoxing I feel for Denis Villeneuve not being nominated for Best Director. It's just one of those things that you just go, huh? What? I don't know how you get 10 nominations and then the guy who's done the impossible doesn't get nominated. It makes you realize that it's all amazing and then it's all totally dumb because it's all really, really dumb.
Finally, Best Picture. Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, West Side Story. Will win? Well, that's the number one question, isn't it? And it's kind of fun when the biggest award of the night is not an absolute certainty like it was last year for Nomadland. Conventional wisdom says The Power of the Dog, which led the Oscar nominations this year with 12, showing strong support throughout the Academy. That said, Coda has been getting a significant groundswell of admirers of late, which time-wise is exactly when you want it, just in time for Oscar voting. The Power of the Dog may have peaked too early in that regard. What's more, the quirks of the Academy's preferential ballot voting process certainly favor a crowd pleaser like Coda. The more I talk about it, the more I think Coda could actually win this. But I'm going to stick with my guns and stick it to Sam Elliott by predicting The Power of the Dog. And I'm not alone. I asked you over on the Cineflick community tab, which film do you predict will win Best Picture? And The Power of the Dog ran away with it at 66%. As far as who should win, in my last video I ranked all of the Best Picture nominees, and spoiler alert, Drive My Car topped the list. Should be nominated? Okay, time for a purge. I would replace Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, and West Side Story with The French Dispatch, The Green Knight, The Humans, The Last Duel, Mass, Titan, and The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Chaos reigns.
I can guarantee that is a crop of Best Picture nominees you will not find anywhere else, and I'm pretty sure nobody else will agree with it, and that's okay. Now, a quick overview of my predictions. Looking back at the most nominated films this year, I'm predicting that The Power of the Dog is only going to win 2 of its 12 nominations, which on paper doesn't sound logical, especially when those are the 2 biggest awards. Dune, meanwhile, I'm predicting will win 6 of its 10 nominations, largely sweeping the technical categories. Meanwhile, I have West Side Story winning just the 1 Oscar for DuBose, and Belfast not winning any of its 7 nominations. When you take a step back and look at the big picture, it really makes you second guess yourself. Well, now you've seen all of my picks, so let me know what you think will win, and should be nominated in any and all categories. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you down there. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to Cineflick for video essays, film lists, and more.
I got this!
And click that bell next to the subscribe button if you'd like to be notified anytime I upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching. For Cineflick, I'm JS Lewis. Until next time, watch something good.